Ancient Egyptians of the Nile Valley developed a very complex religious system which is called the Mysteries. The Mysteries was the first system of salvation. Membership was gained by initiation and pledge to secrecy. It held on to the belief that the human body is a prison house of the soul which could be liberated from its bodily impediments through the disciplines of the arts and sciences and advance from the level of a mortal to that of a force comprising existence known as a neter, meaning the one, or a neteru, meaning the many. This idea is the greatest good to which all must aspire to achieve. The will and knowledge to pursue and understand the truth of the inner being is not in books, but in the innermost heart of every human being. Maatian Philosophy allows a person to discover the innermost core of all truth, the higher self within. According to Maatian Philosophy, the concept of Maat was constructed as part of early Nile Valley cosmology around 65,000 BCE and transcribed during the 5th dynasty during the Pyramid text period. Now let's look at Maat. Maat is an ancient Egyptian spiritual and ethical concept with multiple meanings. Simply, Maat is right or rightness. Ancient Egyptians saw Maat as a divine power called into being at the beginning of creation by the creator Ra. Creation emerges out of the oneness of being. Maat is the balancing or reciprocal energy of creation. Human beings and all things within the universe are an expression of the oneness and are therefore bound to the balance and rightness of Maat. Therefore, the greatest good is one's ability to create balance in all aspects of one's existence. In order to do that, one must first go within and identify and understand the unbalanced aspects of one's character. For example, fearing anger, malice, and discontent from one's mind and soul can bring about a more balanced character. Second, one must always attempt to create balance and reciprocal social interactions because all thoughts and actions create reciprocal thoughts and experiences according to the ordering process of Maat within the universe. For example, if one attempts to treat others with kindness, adding kindness to the world, he or she will always experience kindness from others. Maat requires and demonstrates order of rightness in the divine, natural, and social realms. Those who practice Maat seek to have and maintain right relations with the divine, nature, and other humans. This process plays a significant role in one's transition from this physical life to an afterlife. When one transitions into the physical realm, or duat, one weighs her or his heart on the scales of Maat against the feather of Maat. The feather symbolizes lightness in thoughts and actions. If one's heart is lighter than the feather, then he or she will return to the deepest dimensions of the duat, called the amenta, the source from which existence emerges. If one's heart is heavier than the feather, he or she will have to reincarnate in an attempt to think and act more consistently within Maat in the next life. Let's look at Maat as an ethical system. Some of these things may sound familiar. The 4 major things include: 1. Maat is the totality of ordered existence and represents things in harmony and in place. 2. Maat within the political domain means justice in opposition to injustice. 3. Maat within the social domain suggests right relations and encourages a duty to the community. And 4. Maat within the personal domain means cultivating the universal order in oneself, which allows one to live in harmony with the ordered whole. These 4 things can be summarized as the cardinal virtues of Maat, which are truth, justice, propriety, harmony, balance, reciprocity, and order. Ancient Egyptian philosopher Ptahhotep in 2200 BCE articulated that Maat is a way even for the unlearned, and those who violate its laws are punished, though the covetous person overlooks this. So what is important in regards to Maatian ethics? Well, One must first know that we as humans are interconnected through our want to accomplish and acquire various things. We all have difficulties and trials that can be so hard on our lives. The intensity of those difficulties can bring out the urge to possess a power that can transcend all difficulties. Some people seek to satisfy this urge through religion, others through the physical sciences, others through spirituality, and so on. However, Maatian ethics stress that spiritual power is the executive agent behind the attainment of our main life goal, which is to enjoy life. What is spiritual power? According to Ra-Un-Nefer-Amen, spiritual power is your intuition, your ability to negate adverse events. The cultivation of this power is what elevates you to realize that being at peace is a natural response to adversity. Realize that adversity is not against us. Adversity is beneficial because we need adversity to act as the genuine demand for wisdom and spiritual power. This is how creativity works. Realize that love enables us to conquer our enemies. Do not fear any evil because it is governed by the universal law of Ma'at. We are protected when we observe Ma'at. Realize that we have the power to decide whether we will attain happiness or not. Realize that we have the ability to deprogram the behavior patterns that are antagonistic to the realization of our divine nature.
Now, let's take a look at what we have studied in regards to Aristotle. Nicomachean ethics leads us to believe that all human activities aim at an end. That end we consider to be good. What is the good for Aristotle? What is moral? The highest human good is the activity that is an end in itself. That activity is happiness, for when we aim at happiness, we do it for its own sake, and not because happiness leads to the realization of some other end. Happiness is not a state. It is not felt until you are dead. It is the process of doing something. It is an activity. It is complete without qualification. We always choose happiness, or doing something that produces happiness because of itself, and never because of a random third party. Aristotle believes that happiness is a certain sort of activity of the soul that is in accordance with virtue. Aristotle said, human beings can only be happy if they fulfill their basic human purpose or function. That is, humans can be happy only if they act as humans are specifically meant to act with reason. That is, we will only be happy if we are able to act with reason in the various circumstances of our life. The ability to do something well is virtue. The ultimate good for man is carrying out those activities of his soul which involve reason, and doing so with the proper virtue or excellence. Where our desires, emotions, and actions are involved, both going to excess and falling short, are vices. A virtue is the ability to be reasonable in our actions, desires, and emotions. We are not born with such abilities, but acquire them by training in our communities. We act well when we seek the mean, or the midpoint between excess and deficiency. We acquire the virtues of living reasonably when we acquire the various abilities needed to control our desires, emotions, and actions, so that they neither go to the excess nor fall short. Aristotle also defines pleasure separately from happiness. Pleasure accompanies and perfects our activities. A good person will feel pleasure in doing good things. The highest good of all is rational contemplation. A life that consists exclusively of contemplation is obviously impossible, but we should aim to approximate this ideal as closely as possible. The practical sciences, then, help us find the right path toward this highest good, and help us deal with the practical matters of everyday life that inevitably occupy a great deal of our time and attention. Now, let's look at just a couple of the similarities and differences between the Ma'at and Aristotalean ethical systems. On Aristotle's sphere of action table, you have three choices: to live in the deficiency, the excess, or the mean. While the mean is the midpoint, for the Greeks it is not necessarily the action that is at the middle state. Sometimes the mean state is closer to the excess or the deficiency. Living in this mean is living at the best state of life. Choosing action at the mean is choosing the moral action. In Maatian philosophy, on the other hand, there are multiple options to abide by. One lives by the 42 precepts of Maat, concurrently and separately, where the ultimate state is to be found light of heart, to lead a virtuous life and master the knowledge and wisdom of all 42 precepts. Through this process, the mind can be lightened to such a degree that it allows the soul to behold its true nature, to enjoy life, to be moral. So you see, Maatian philosophy has a great foundation in the world of ethics. Some believe that Aristotle and other Greek philosophers stole their philosophy from the Maatian foundation that they received in Egypt. Is this true? Possible. What is true is that Maatian philosophy is a foundation to the philosophy that we study today. Ancient Egyptian philosophy, specifically Maat, should be taught in the same manner as Greek philosophers such as Aristotle. There need not be a hierarchy of philosophies. The continuous dismissal of ancient Egyptian practices and philosophies continues to wrongfully lessen the contribution of African peoples to the current state of academia. This must end.